Welcome to the Swift Half, your weekly session of chat from the UK OCR and adventure running scene. Each week, pub landlord Alan and our favourite regular Ian discuss races, runners and anything else that comes to mind. So pull up a pew, pour yourself a drink and join us for the Swift Half.
You're listening to the 31st most popular podcast for listeners who think that the term carbon neutral refers to an eco-friendly barbecue briquette.
Ian, my friend, welcome to the Swift Half again. How are you?
I'm great, Alan. Welcome to almost the end of September. I'm sorry, listeners.
I like that. We're planning like the months are just flying by, aren't we? September. It'll soon be Halloween, and then we've got bonfire night, and then we've got Christmas. It's less than 100 days to Christmas.
It is. And listener, I'm going to depress you even more. As you're listening to this, it's Friday the 20th, or it might not be. It may be, I don't know, Sunday the 22nd, or it may be 2026 or 2027 as you're listening to this. But if you're listening to it on the first day it's out, Saturday the 21st of September, Alan, is a solstice, isn't it?
Oh, is it a solstice on 20? So what's that? What solstice is it?
Not sure exactly which one it is, but it's a day where you have equal amount of light and dark. So you get 12 hours of night and 12 hours of daylight.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's pretty cool, that. You know so much random rubbish that's like it's so good to listen to.
I really do. And someone else made that comment over the weekend. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But the depressing thing is from 22nd onwards, there's more hours of darkness than light until March next year.
Oh, I've just Googled it. It's called the September equinox, and it's the moment the sun crosses the celestial equator. There we go.
It's far more posher than what I said, isn't it?
It's a good solstice, though. September equinox. There we go, people. There's scientific corner for about 1 minute. That's pretty bad, though. That like when you talk about it's more night. There's more darkness than there is daylight. I take the dog for a walk every morning at 5 o'clock, and I've noticed it so much. And then we went running last Tuesday. I want to say last Tuesday, so not the Tuesday this week, the Tuesday prior, and we didn't get back until 8:30. And it was dark then as well, so it was like we was thinking head torches are on. And is it this month that the clocks go back as well?
No, that's in October. Usually around Halloween or getting close to Halloween. It used to be great when I was at uni because what would happen is you'd go out to nightclubs, and back then, listener, I'm probably going to give away my age a little bit, but back then, the idea of a nightclub staying open past 2 a.m. was just unbelievable, wasn't it, Alan? 2 a.m., everyone gets kicked out. But when the clocks changed, you got an extra hour. Because it hit 2, it went back to 1 a.m. and you had another hour.
I remember going into a nightclub once at that time, and they actually asked you to leave. They called last orders at back then it was like 10 to 2, weren't it? The bell rang at 10 to 2. At 2 o'clock, they closed the shutters, and then they opened them back up again 1 second later. And said, yeah, it's only 1 o'clock.
And these are the things you remember. Again, useless things and things that don't really matter, but they're memories, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. People won't get that anymore now because pubs are open till God knows what time. I went running a couple of months ago, early on a Sunday morning, and I went through the town centre. I tried to do a bit of a loop, and I came through the town centre at maybe 6 o'clock in the morning, I want to say, and there was a queue of like 150 people queuing up for taxis, all drunk, all just come out of a nightclub, and I'm like, oh my God, what it must be like to be young again.
I don't think I'd survive. I needed that 4 to 5 hours that you got after getting home at 3 a.m.
But one of my, I was talking about this today, actually, about nightclubbing, and because one of my friends at work, son's gone to Ibiza, and he messaged this morning. Well, he actually FaceTimed this morning. He'd come in from a nightclub at 7 a.m. and he'd FaceTimed her at 7 a.m. And we was talking about this today, and I was saying, yeah, when I was younger, and I was injured from football, so I worked in a sports shop at the time. And rather than sort of work all day on a Saturday, I used to work part day and then finish to play football. But when I was injured, I worked the full day. But on the Friday, I'd go into work on a Friday. I'd finish at 5 o'clock. We had showers in work, so we were out of the shop for 5:30, and we were straight out, on the beer. Then it were nightclubs. And then at 2 o'clock, we'd go to the Hindus restaurant, which was an Indian restaurant that was open until early hours. Come out of there about 4 o'clock. Then we'd go into the 24-hour snooker club. We'd play snooker for 3 hours. 7 o'clock, 7:30, I'd walk back to work, get showered, get my kit on, do another day's shift, and then I'd be out again that night as well. I was like, how did I manage it when I was a kid? 24 hours of just constant partying is not longer.
And that was before caffeine bullets.
And that was before caffeine bullets. If only caffeine bullets had been out, then I'd have been absolutely fine. I'd have gone on for another day.
Right, before we go down a sponsor rabbit hole or a potential sponsor rabbit hole, I've no idea where that is. We really should talk about that eventually, whether we're taking them on board. But moving on from that for the time being, what are you drinking?
I am on a Rheinbacher Pilsner. Alcohol free still. It is 0%, that not 0.5. Rheinbacher Pilsner. Got 6 cans from my local off license. I was calling back today, called in, not cans, bottles, sorry, 6 bottles, 1.99, bargain.
Wow, that is super cool. So it's 33p a bottle.
Yeah, so 330 mils as well. So it's what, 1p a mil? 1p for every 10 mils.
Yeah, that is such a great deal.
A bargain. Bargain. What are you drinking tonight?
Courtesy of Tesco, they stocked up on some new stuff.
A meal deal.
Meal deal, the Haydock Tesco, which had been getting a bit boring, brought out Purdy's natural energy juice.
Okay, so you're going to talk the energy. Was it last week you had Nourish, or was that the week before?
Either last week or week before. But yeah, now we've got Rejuvenate, grape and apple with ginseng. I have no clue what ginseng is. I really hope I'm not allergic, but we might find out live on air.
Isn't it some herb? It's some herb that's like tea. It's like a tea, isn't it? You have ginseng tea.
Yeah, I think it is. I wanted to check that it wasn't tea because I am actually allergic to that, but I don't think it's tea in and of itself. So, listener, we should be fine. But if I stop talking and if you hear sirens, bad things have happened.
I'll just get the show must go on, Ian, so I'll just continue if that happens.
I'll try and mute myself if I remember.
Yeah. Let's go straight into a bit of OCR. Let's talk a bit about Tough Mudder and that, Ian, because this week we have had the map is out for London South. Have you managed to check it out yet?
I have. I always love London South. I don't know what it is about this venue, but I've always love it. And in a way, I kind of wish it was where they're going for World's Toughest Mudder. I know why they're not, because one, it is pancake flat, so it's not exactly going to be that entertaining for anyone. And two, although it's London, it's a little bit far away from London, isn't it?
Yeah. They're never in the place where they say they are. Birmingham wasn't even in Birmingham, so yeah, I would expect London South. Is this? This must be close to Cornwall.
I think it's Crawley, but close enough. But what I love about London South is the cloverleaf.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen that design. It's going out and coming back and going out and coming back. And I know Will's a big fan of this, and so are a few others. I love it. Done it at some of my races. Ramrun, I think, was the first one that I ever knew did it, which was absolutely amazing. One thing I've noticed on it, though, Ian, we haven't got an obstacle grade out on this one. It's named all 22.
Yeah, it has. And only 22 obstacles, which seems a little bit light for a 15K course, particularly when you've got so much land to work with. I mentioned about the cloverleaf, but if you look between obstacle 1 to 5, you've got 3 obstacles there. And what would you estimate? 5K of running in that section? 4K?
It looks like a big long running track, and isn't there another big section as well? Was a long running track as well between 8 and is it 8? I think on the map I can see 8 and 11 or 8 and 12.
8 and 11 is quite big as well. And here's the potential issue I have with this map is number 3 is just for tip, which
Yeah.
is, walking across the bars, not walking across, but where it's cliffhanger, isn't it?
Yeah.
Effectively from Ninja Warrior. Then 4 is Twinkle Toes, and 5 is Killer Gorilla,
Okay.
and 2 is Mud Mile. And if you're doing the 3 to 5, you miss out just for tip, and you miss out Twinkle Toes. It just seems to me, if I was doing it, I'd be dead tempted just to miss them 2 obstacles out.
I know what you're saying. I mean, I've looked at it and I've thought about it, and I've like looked at this map and I've thought, there's no really that's going to make me want to go. You know what I mean? It's a bit different in terms of you got Kiss and Mud, Mud Mile, Just a Tip, Twinkle Toes, Killer Gorilla, and then we've got Block Ness, all in first 6 obstacles. Strange that they put Funky Monkey straight after Block Ness because you're going to be wet through, wet hands, all of that lot. Let's go, Funky Monkey. Hydrophobia, Stairway to Heaven, Skid Mark, Pole Dancer, Devil's Beard, Hero Walls, Birth Canal, Trench Warfare, Electric Eel, Arctic Enemy, Mudderhorn, Everest, Cage Crawl, Pyramids. I don't know. There's nothing on there, Ian, that's going to make me. I don't know. They've mixed it up. I do like the idea of they've mixed it up because normally we see Mudderhorn followed by electroshock therapy 9 times out of 10, and Hero Walls is usually fairly early on. So I do like the idea they've mixed the obstacles up a bit.
Yeah, they mix it up, and we love Tough Mudder on this show, and Alan's got physical proof of that on his person. But I don't know, I just get the impression they're limping to the end of a season, knowing that next year is going to be super cool because we've got World's Toughest Mudder coming up.
We have. And bring that to the other news. That's a great segue to the other little bit of news we're going to talk about in a second. But I'm completely agree with it. They are limping, I think, to the end of this season. I think because I don't know, it's just, it is the end of the season. It's coming close to the end of the season. You know, they've got to be looking forward so much to next year. Has there's much thought gone into this? I don't know. I look at it and I think maybe not. Or maybe they have. Maybe they've put a lot of thought into it and thought, right, let's mix it up. Maybe they've put that much thought into it. They're thinking, what can we do for WTM next year and mix the obstacle list up for a little bit of difference?
That's true. But as I mentioned, and try not to labour the point too much, the big running sections, which have always existed in London South, but they just seem to be even more this time because there's only 22 obstacles. It just strikes me as it's a race run for HQ and the volunteers more than for the racers because I'm not going to count them, but you've got a massive cluster of obstacles in the middle, which you always have with London South, but it's more pronounced because there's not a few more out there on the running, and that makes it really easy to build and to staff.
Do you think this might be a way forward for OCR races, as in events? Because we have seen quite recently, there's been a little bit of grumblings about volunteers again, you know, and especially at Tough Mudder. I think Tough Mudder's probably feeling it a little bit more than anyone else because they usually get several hundred volunteers at their events. Do you think maybe they're feeling it? Maybe that's why there's only 22 obstacles. They're thinking we're definitely getting enough volunteers for 22 obstacles over the weekend. How many do you really need? Less than 100 over the weekend to man them obstacles. Some for Event Village as well. So yeah, maybe about 120 over the weekend. I don't know. I think it could be a case of that. I don't know. Maybe they're expecting and forecasting volunteers to be down, so that's why they're doing it this way. Because there's only what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 obstacles that are outside that cluster, the Event Village, basically, isn't there?
Yeah, I said I won't count them, but I can do the maths now. So that's 15 in that cluster. Amongst those, you also have things like hydrophobia and block nest, which at a pinch, and they shouldn't really ever do this, but at a pinch, you can get by with one volunteer and the water safety crew.
Yeah. But maybe water safety crew, maybe that's what they need to look at and put water safety obstacles close together.
No, that makes sense. But I'd never want to scrimp on water safety for obvious reasons. We all saw what happened at the Ironman. So whatever Tough Mudder are paying their water safety crew, it's been the same crew for, it feels like forever. They're a great crew. Please never, ever, ever skimp on that. Final thing about the map, Alan, and then we'll move on to the other news, is Skid March you mentioned is obstacle 10, I think. And
Yeah.
Michelle Carney shared a picture of her doing the splits on Skid March on her socials. Can't remember whether it was Instagram or Facebook. And she put a comment saying she misses the old Skid March. And you know what? I miss it too.
What was the difference between the old one and the new one?
The new one is Spartan Skid March.
Oh, right, yeah.
And the old one, the angle was different. So the new one, the angle just feels a little bit different, and the old one was completely wood. And I don't know, it was just easier to grip the top and then swing your leg over.
Isn't I think Total Warriors version of Skid Mat is wood as well. Theirs is completely wood.
I've
Maybe they
not
got
done
the
that.
Tough Mudder one.
Perhaps they did. And I will say the Spartan one's easier to do because you literally just have to pop up and play. You don't really have to construct it too much, and it's harder wearing. But I do miss that old version.
Mm, I get that. I get that. Easier to do. Everything's making going faster in and down the line. But the big news was, you know, and we're going to talk about this like the weekend that's coming this weekend. Will's down there this weekend because Giles is there and Matt Brook, and he's going to grab us an interview about WTM down there. So watch this space, people, for that down there in London South. But this week, it was announced that London West on the 10th of May is going to have a 12-hour toughest Infinity.
Yeah, so they're gonna do the Infinity that they're already doing, but adding an extra 4 hours. So it would almost be like a daytime toughest, but I wouldn't expect any different obstacles. But you never know, they might do. They might surprise us and throw some little things in there. They have done this in America in the past. They have done a toughest during the daytime before they even did Infinity. It was several years ago, pre-COVID, and I think it was just because the evening one had to be cancelled. So they couldn't arrange another evening one, but they did do a daytime toughest. And yeah, I think it's a great idea, Alan, because it gives you an opportunity to earn your Holy Grail without leaving the UK.
And exactly the reason why I'm going down to do it. I'm a little bit gutted that it's only, I won't say 7 weeks before WTM, because that's, for us old people, that's only a short period of recovery time. I would like more, but at the end of the day, it's we've got a 12-hour event, we've got another 12-hour event, and it's going to give us a chance of the Holy Grail. I like it, Ian. I'm liking it.
Oh, I know you say it's only 7 weeks, but it also gives you a great opportunity to test your nutrition, to test various other things. It would be good, and I don't know if Tough Mudder will do this, perhaps will, when you're listening to this, add it to your questions for the weekend. It'd be good if TM would allow competitors to have a bit of a tent village for it rather than the usual drop zone. So you could test that as well. That would be cool. I don't know if they can or if they'd have the space, but I think that would be great. One thing I have noticed, Alan,
Go on.
for the purposes of getting your Holy Grail, is after this Infinity, you then have World's Toughest, and the next Infinity is the week after at Midlands, an 8 hour one. So you'd be kind of doing it in the different order. So you'd be doing your 12 hour, your 24, and then your 8 hour. But I don't think people will care that much.
I can see after WTM though, the following Infinity is just going to be a hobble round as much as you can get.
Yeah, it is the next week. And to be fair, there's nothing that says you have to do the Midlands one. And I guess I should also point out that at the time we're recording, Manchester and Scotland have still to be placed in the diary. So you never know. There is a chance that maybe Scotland comes early and they do an 8 hour Infinity there. Honestly, I think asking people to do the Holy Grail within 7 weeks may be a bit of a stretch, but it is what it is, isn't it, Alan?
It is. It is. Hey, it's a challenge. Tough Mudder. Everyone talks about Tough Mudder's got easy. Well, they've just stepped it up. If you want to go for the Holy Grail, whoa, step it up, people. I'm going to give it a shot.
Absolutely. And it's one of them that I know people will do this, but I hope that people don't phone it in for the 12 hour. Go and do it as a 12 hour event if you can. Use it as an opportunity to test out your stuff for WTM because you're not going to get another opportunity. Don't think, oh, this is just a notch on my card to get myself that holy grail. So I'll do one lap, then I'll rest a bit, and then I'll do one lap at the end.
Is that what the minimum standards are? 2 laps.
I'm not sure. I'm just guessing it may be
All
two
right.
laps, but I don't know
Yeah.
what minimum standards are. But I would just strongly recommend to people to go and enjoy yourself. It's a lot of money at the end of the day, Alan, or in your case, it's a tattoo, but it's a lot of money. Go and do it. But try not to be a gatekeeper too much. If you want to do the minimum at the Infinities and you want to do minimum WTM to get yourself the trophy, then it's worth just as much as the trophy of anyone else. It's your race. Do it how you want.
Currently, Ian, it's £129. So if you signed up this moment in time for the 12-hour Europe's Toughest Infinity, it's £129. That is not a bad deal. And I'm pretty certain there's probably some discount going around somewhere.
Probably is. That's not a bad deal. And I wonder if they will do a package now as well. So you could get the 12-hour, the 8-hour, and WTM for, I don't know, 500, 600 quid.
Who knows? Who knows? I think that is not a bad price. I've paid more than £130 for an ultra without obstacles. So 130 quid. I don't see that as a bad deal.
The only bad deal is the fact is that London West, which is hilly.
There's a good reason then to test your nutrition out on the hills as well, Ian, there.
Exactly, Alan. Exactly. Speaking of hills, should we move on a little bit to Born Survivor?
Oh, we've bit of feedback on the UK OCR Obstacle Course Racing Facebook group this week about it. I think it shocked a few people with how much water when the hills was out there.
I think it did. I have people from my gym going. We talked about them last year. They went and did Tough Mudder Manchester, and it's a gym outing. They're not obstacle racers. It's just something for the gym to go and have fun. And I think they were shocked at how much harder Born Survivor was compared to Tough Mudder Manchester. And albeit Tough Mudder Manchester is a little bit straightforward compared to some of the other Tough Mudders. But even so, these are healthy people. And yeah, they were saying they were crawling up the hills and it just felt like they were going up and up forever. And there was a lot of water on the course. And I guess it's almost a Marmite thing, isn't it? I know you prefer, Alan, a selection of obstacles, don't you? Tough
I
Mudder
do.
kind of gives you what you want because you've got your mud, you've got your water, you've got your upper body stuff. This definitely catered to those who like their obstacle courses wet.
What 100%. And I mean, but like I said, Born Survivor though is not your Tough Mudder. You know, it is more of a challenge, much more of a challenge, much more. I want to say raw, but it's not raw because it's just as big as Tough Mudder. You know what I mean? In terms of how many people go, but it's it feels a much more raw event. It feels more army orientated than catering for the masses.
It does. It kind of reminds me of some of the OCRs we saw in 2016, where you had things like Tough Viking and actually Yorkshire Warrior as well. Yorkshire Warrior was a good race, wasn't it, Alan? And it was very similar to this.
I loved Yorkshire Warrior. One of my favourite races by far, especially in the early days. And they used natural terrain so well, and then they all of a sudden they went to cater for the masses, and yeah, it went a little bit downhill. I remember going to the first one, and they made you literally where a trail runs down through a woods and that there'd be a ditch at the side, and they'd put you in the ditch rather than run you on the trails, and they'd run you over the muddiest part of a field or something like that. But then all of a sudden they went, let's now go cater for the masses, and we'll run you down the main road, and we're going to run you down the edge of a field, and it just, yeah, it lost a little bit of its rawness to me. Got more runners, it built itself up to a 6,000 race, but yeah, it just spoilt it a little bit for me.
And I can definitely see that. When I went, which was the year before it took a vacation, it did have a lot of that rawness again, Alan. So you were climbing over the wall because it's at an estate, isn't it? And you're going both sides of the wall. So it was a ladder, but it wasn't a ladder I'd use to change my light fittings.
I like
And
that.
yeah, and you're carrying breeze blocks, that kind of thing, Alan. So it was definitely had that run, and maybe Born Survivor is kind of filling that gap in the market still for people who do want that race where at the end of it you can say I survived. Whereas Tough Mudder, we love it. It can be hard if you run fast, but a lot of times at the end of it, you're thinking, "Oh, I had a great time," not "I saw death."
Do you think they are that your friends are going back to Born Survivor next year, or they're going to go back to Tough Mudder?
I think that they've had enough of Oceano, and I'm not sure. I'll have to ask them. But yeah, the person I spoke to when I asked them what's next year, she said, "Never again. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to sit on the couch and eat donuts." Or speaking of donuts, the people who should never ever have a donut are some of them fine athletes who do the 100-meter OCR courses, Alan. Would you agree?
Oh, completely agree. Because the 100 meters is absolutely mental. And Ian, talking about 100 meters, do you remember the other week when we talked about FitFest and we just touched on something that might be happening?
Oh, I remember. It is the British Indoor Rowing Champs, yes?
That's the one. And I've asked James Byrne to come in the pub to tell us about the British Indoor Rowing Championships.
Woo!
James,
Hey.
friend.
How we doing?
We're good, mate. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Keeping busy, but no, all good.
All super good. So super
Yeah.
good. Are we on the tee tonight?
Indoor rowing champs, let's go. I am on the tee. You know me.
Let's talk indoor rowing champs. Or better still, let's tell the listeners what's actually going to be happening, James, because this is exciting. This is like, I was on a call with you the other day when I found out, and I was excited as anyone could be. Let's tell people. They might already know, but if not.
Well, and you'd already done a little bit of detective work, hadn't you? And match dates. We put a save the date out a few weeks back, and it coincided with FitFest. So you very cleverly deduced, as I think a few other people did in the community, that it may well be at FitFest. And it was good to see that was quite positively received when people were mentioning that. And on Sunday, we put out the announcement that the British OCR, the inaugural British OCR 100-meter championships, will be held at FitFest at the NEC Arena in Birmingham. And just like you are, I'm incredibly excited to be bringing this to the community. I think it's going to be not only a fantastic event, but a fantastic weekend overall with the FitFest festival and what they're trying to do as well.
I think that's part for me. Having the 100 meters is fantastic. We're going to have a UK 100 meter championship, but having it at somewhere like FitFest, where we have got athletes from other disciplines attending, and OCR is going to be showcased alongside their type of things. We constantly talk about cross-pollination, getting people from other sports to ours. This is a great opportunity for it.
It's an excellent opportunity for exposure, 100%, and to be showcased alongside in indoor rowing championships, British weightlifting championships. I think there's a powerlifting national championships, affect competition, CrossFit. I think is separate. I might have got that confused, but there's so many different events happening, and there's also as you would get at an event, there's like a wellness zone and all these different things that FitFest are organising, like from the stalls and the stands. Not to the scale of National Running Show, but that kind of element to it as well. So I think it should be a fantastic weekend. And
you've also got an athlete showcase as well. So some of the biggest athletes, particularly in the CrossFit world, will be there. And to just have those that in any event is going to bring lots of eyeballs to the event. Even if people are not attending, people are going to try and find out all they can about this particular event. Alan, I'm going to read out a few of them, and I'm sure you're going to be a massive fan of all of these people. So amongst others, Alan, we have got Ricky Garrard.
Know him?
Ariel Lowen,
Heard that name?
Emma McQuaid.
No, I don't know if I've heard that one. I might have, I'm not sure.
I'm going to have fun with this one. I'll just go Carl Goodmanson. He's got another name, but we'll go with Carl.
Go on.
We also have on Team Europe, amongst others, Harry Lightfoot, Amy Kringle. You must know those two.
I really like Foot. Yes, I do actually. I've heard of him.
And, the biggest star, probably, I guess it's an argument, but on Team Europe, Sarah Sigmund's daughter, who you will know because she is in the Netflix documentaries all about CrossFit Games.
Oh, cool. Can't wait for that. And then we're going to have 100 meters athletes like Tommy Matthews.
Tommy, it's going to be some big athletes. Go on, Ian. You look like you're going to say something else.
I was going to ask, actually, before we get too sidetracked, even more, I'm the one who's sidetracking us. James, can you tell us anything about what the course is going to be? Because I hear rumors, I keep my ear to the ground, and I hear rumors about various apparatus that may or may not be here, there, and everywhere in the UK. And will we be seeing some of that apparatus at this event?
Yes, so we're going to start, due to our partnership with British Rowing, with a 500-meter row. No, so
Did you add me then? You actually had me. I'm thinking, what? Really? Oh god!
I saw your faces. Yeah, I had you. I did have you. No, so the event it's in conjunction with two other organisations. So FitFest are making this possible. They are helping to do a lot of the heavy lifting. We came to them and we've had this conversation for over 18 months in terms of our discussion, and we looked at it last year. We just weren't at a place to do it. We looked at it this year, and we were umming and ahhing, and we got to the point where we said we'd love to do this, but we can't do this as an organisation with a team of volunteers and take it to the level that we want to take it. And it was almost like, I'm really sorry, but then Mark, the organizer of FitFest, said, listen, we believe in this event as well. We can help to support you with our operational team and do a lot of the heavy lifting to make the event possible, which is incredible. British Obstacle Sports will run from a course design perspective, the officials, volunteers, run a show, all of that's British Obstacle Sports' responsibility. Another key player to make this happen is Pentathlon GB. So Pentathlon GB have now two obstacle kits, pentathlon obstacle kits in the UK, and one of those will be utilised at the 100-metre champs. So we'll have 8 to 10 obstacles, and the goal is to make it as close to the official 100-metre course as possible. So we may kind of make some adjustments in terms of the rings in Pentathlon GB are kind of more standard rings. In the 100-metre champs, they're slightly bigger. In pentathlon, you don't have a trumpet to get to the monkey bars. We'll try and get trumpets to get onto the monkey bars. So it won't be a record kind of setting course, but we're going to be as close to the 100-metre as we possibly can. And we'll have that finisher wall, which will be always good fun at the end. So it's going to be really important actually for everyone who's excited about this to get signed up early, because it will, if we're getting to where we want to get from a budget perspective and we're looking close to set it out, we'll be able to kind of add those little icing on the cake to really give it that finishing touch and make it a really special event. So it's a partnership between the three organisations, and it's great to see these obstacle kits being available. And I guess that is one of the benefits of the alliance we have with Pentathlon GB, that we've got the opportunity to utilise them as well.
Fantastic. When do tickets go on sale, or are they already on sale, James?
They're not on sale yet. We are hoping either by the time this is out to on people's podcasts, or over the weekend they'll be on sale. Cool. So it'll be an early bird price, and we're hoping to put a little sweetener, not entirely sure what that sweetener will be, to sign up within the first week as well. So that's kind of what we're working on, whether it would be an extra kind of gift on entry, or an opportunity for trade. We don't know exactly what it is, but we really want to get people in straight away. The other sweetener will be that we will allocate, and we'll get into the detail of the format, but you'll be allocated your preference of when you want to run your qualifiers based on when you signed up. So the first person to sign up will be guaranteed to run at the time that they want to run on the Saturday. So there's definitely benefit in that sense of signing up early.
Perfect.
Maybe the sweetener could be a meet and greet with Alan.
There we go.
I'll shake hands with everyone, no problems whatsoever. I'm not that well known. James is better well known than me.
No, you'll be surprised. So what we could do is we could actually maybe brand different hours. So the 5 to 6 p.m. slot could be the Alan Moore hour, and the 3 to 4 p.m. could be the Ian K slot, and then we could see, that has a sweetener for sign up.
I've got visions of it. People like going in the Ian K slot and just like walking the course, and like people in my slot all having Zimmer frames. Something like that.
I suspect the 3 to 4 slot, if it is mine, will be really empty, listener. So make sure you're the one person who signs up.
We will help share it.
The question, though, to both of you is, are we going to see you having a go?
Well, I'm checking the diary as we speak, if I'm honest. Whether I'm running or not will be a different matter, because it is only 3 weeks after my 100-mile attempt. So, whether I've recovered or not, because at this moment in time, I'm not even told our listeners this, I'm currently injured. So 2 weeks before my Sea to Summit Ultra, and I've pulled a hamstring on the weekend, 4 miles into an 8-mile run. Had to call Paula to come and pick me up and give me a lift home. So before I ate it anymore. So we're resting now for 2 weeks, hoping Sea to Summit it survives it, and then we'll see what happens with Escape from Meriden, which is coming up in mid to late November, because this is it 8th of December?
7th and 8th of December.
7th and 8th of December, yeah, 7th and 8th of December. So I've literally got 2.5, 3 weeks to recover. So yes, hopefully I'm going to be there, James. I'm going to say I'm going to be there.
That'll be good.
If I'm not there, I would love to come down and do some filming media, get some interviews done for people and whatever, and help out as best we can.
No, that would be great. Either way, we do have a 50+ category. So, Alan, it's your chance.
He's tempting me so much into. I've never actually sprinted since I stopped playing football.
It's definitely a different. It's an interesting format. I've done it a few times, the 100, and it's interesting how that obstacle kind of how you manage that, because it's different from a 3K, which you don't get a pump like you would maybe in a 3K, but it's definitely a sprint. So it's definitely worthwhile exploring if you've done the longer distances and have a bit of fun with it.
I've got visions of me, that one where you have to dive underneath the cargo net.
Yes,
I got visions of me completely mistiming that, smacking my head on the bar, and then just being laid there prone for like 3 hours while everyone runs past me.
Yeah. Well, we will have plenty of padding if that slide is kind of included. So don't worry.
Oh, I'm loving it, James. We're going to have you on a little bit later on a different podcast. You and Tommy.
Yes.
We're going to get you and Tommy on nearer the time to discuss it. Tell us a little bit more about it and that. So listeners, get ready for that, because that is coming. We've already spoke about this and planned this. Yeah,
it'll be great. We'll go into a bit more detail, but just to give a 2-minute summary of the weekend, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah.
If that's all right. So Friday, people will have the opportunity to train on the course. It'll be in the evening. So that's an opportunity for people. It will also be available at Bath University in November. So there's another opportunity for people to have a go at the obstacles. Saturday will be qualification. You get 2 tries at the course, but there's no training on the Saturday. So 2 goes at the course. Obviously, welcome to. I think the great thing about the 100-meter is the whole camaraderie in the community around it. Yes, you're doing 2 runs, but you're there the whole day. You're cheering other people. You're getting tips and learning about the sport. So 9 till I think 7:30 will be qualification all day on Saturday, and then on Sunday there's 2 things that will happen. One is the finals. So there'll be top 16. We'll go through to the elite final, male and female. So that's overall. That's top 16, any British athletes or residents of the UK. There will also be an international competition. So any people that live outside the UK that are not British citizens, there'll be a separate international competition for them. There will be a para competition for upper and lower impairments, 2 divisions there. And while age groups can go into the elite 16, there will also be age group competitions, 10 to 11, 12 to 13, 14 to 17, 40 to 49, and 50 plus. So big package of events. And I think if you come to the qualification on the Saturday, maybe you don't make the finals, you'll get supporter entry to the 100 meter, but also to FitFest overall. So it'd be great to see you on the Sunday cheering everyone on as well. And then the other thing that's happening on the Sunday is a Elite 16 team competition as well. So 2 males, 2 females, and it will be a sponsored competition. So we're going to be reaching out to brands to sponsor different teams. Or, for example, you could have a Rumble Fitness team or a Ninja Warrior Gloucester team being put forward, those kind of things. So that we hope is going to be really exciting as well in the afternoon on Sunday when all the teams go head to head. So they'll have qualification rounds and then they will run head to head as well. So excited for it.
Sounds really good.
So, James, you asked me if I'd be doing it. I've got one question which will decide this. How many bans do I get? How many penalty loops can you be doing on this?
So, good question. Not to be finalised. At an international level, you can fail 2 obstacles. We may not do that. When we've run national trials, we've just done 10-second penalties for any obstacle failure. So if you commit to coming in, that might sway our decision to make sure you can complete. But yeah.
10 seconds. You said 12 obstacles, yeah?
It'll be 8 to 10 obstacles.
Okay, 8 to 10 obstacles. Right, is 80 seconds to 100 seconds good enough to qualify me?
On the back of a recent debate, though, bans, will there be Tyvek bans or paper bans, or will there be rubber bans? I know we're not having bans, only joking there. But it's great news, absolutely great news. Really looking forward to it. I'm going to be there. Quickly, I touched on bans, though, there. While you're on, James, you can suggest quick advice. Did you listen to Pint Size OCR this week?
I did. Good topics.
An amazing topic. Now, was it a debate, though, or was it just Libby berating Finley for having silly ideas in her eyes?
Yeah, I think it was an interesting debate. I think Finley was a strong believer in his views. Different views, innovative views, you might say. I don't know if I agreed with all of them, but
and that's what the debate was all about.
Yeah.
My favourite part, Alan, was when Libby completely lawyered up on Finlay. I loved that part where they were having this long debate. If I recall, it was about medals and whether you should have medals. And Livy just turned around and said, this was after, I want to say 15 minutes, and said, yeah, but this podcast is aimed at children and children want medals. So obviously we have to have medals. It's not an adult podcast. And that just killed the whole debate. Although Finley, fair play to him, he did his best, but yeah, that just killed it. So that was top lawyering. That is what you call enough rope to hang yourself, Alan?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I actually loved it. It was one of the many podcasts where they edit, and I have to go back and listen to it 2 or 3 times. So, listeners, if you've not gone back, go back to Monday's episode. Listen to Pint Size OCR. The first half is good about the world champs and that, but the second half with Finlay and Libby debating certain topics, to me is probably been one of the best podcasts I've listened to in a long time. And
so much passion.
So much passion. And it's
so much passion. It's interesting. I don't think we're ever going to get rid of medals. People love medals way too much.
So, Alan, where do you sit on these topics? Because you know that people are curious.
Okay, so we'll go with the world champs and the European champs. I think, first of all, there is too many world champs. I think we need a specific world champs. I love the idea of having alternate years. However, they are owned by companies, and no company is going to turn around and say, I'm going to hold it every 2 years because this one particular year we're going to lose money. And that includes FISO. I know FISO and not a thing, but not a company as such, but they have to have a company who puts it on for them and so forth and so forth. I think it's got to go every year at this moment in time. I don't think we're big enough to go every 2 years. So in that case, although I love Finley's idea, I'm Team Libby. Medals, this is a really, really tough one. I actually liked how Finley said that in the elite section, yeah, only the top 3 got medals. I would have even gone a bit further and said they don't get medals. They actually get a trophy, and that would be their big thing. But I think for fun runners, medals have got to go all the way through. Band-wise, I love the rubber bands. I do love the rubber bands, but there's a massive difference in price. And to get an example, a rubber band, if you're buying 1,000 rubber bands, they're going to cost you £1,000. They're not too expensive. But if you're buying 1,000 Tyvek bands, or the paper bands as they want to call them, it's going to cost you a tenner. And that's the difference. That really is the difference. And ultimately, £1,000 or £10. So it's down to each race. I've done both at my races. I don't know. I do prefer the rubber bands. I love the keepsakes. So that's what I sit with them.
Okay. Yeah, James, are you allowed to answer, or does your position as being chair of British Obstacle mean you have to take a neutral stance?
Well, probably should take a neutral stance, but I
Give us an answer, James. Give us an answer. Give us an answer.
I guess I love the sport too much to be neutral on it. So my view, championship wise, I think it always depends on the sport. So obviously football, the World Cup is every 4 years, the champs are every 4 years, but then you've got Champions League every year. You've got so much stuff, and that most smaller sports, to be fair, and I love that Finley is connecting us to major sports. I love that he's got that level of expectation, which is amazing. Most sports, I think, do have championships every year. And ultimately, athletes drive, from an elite perspective, because I agree with you, there's a lot of championships, but the athletes drive what the best championships are ultimately. And the most, when you've got the most athletes at an event, the best caliber athletes, that dictates it's the best championship ultimately. So I would probably say yes, every year I don't think we're in a position with the program to have every other year. It would create a sense of demand though, and interest. So there is that element to it. Medals. So I come to it more from, it's really interesting. I come to it maybe from a sustainability kind of sense. I don't hardly ever take except 3 t-shirts, for example, at events. I might do 1 or 2 at, like, say, for a World's Toughest Mudder, like really flagship event. But I do 20 odd events a year. But medals, I really can't say no to a medal. I don't know what it is. And every year they're hung up yearly, and then they just go in a box in my loft, and they'll probably stay there forever and at some point get chucked out. But there's something about a medal as a memory, as a keepsake, that I can't not take. And I think age groups, you'd have to put age group in the fun runner bracket as well. Yeah. I don't think people would be going around the world and not expecting a medal. But I do agree that at an elite level, the people that are chasing the podiums don't really care about the medals. They wouldn't be too upset if you didn't give them a medal at the end and said, try harder, get in the top 3. So I get that element. And again, it's great that Finn has that desire, that he wants to be first rather than get a finisher medal. And then on the band side, I actually quite like the paper aspect to it. It's quite raw, and actually, if you kept that band, it almost, as a keepsake, it almost means a bit more if it's a bit raw like that. It's like, I think I've got some from a couple of events where I kind of battled the course and finished it and kept my band, and it doesn't say what event it is or anything like that, but it still has that sense of pride of finishing the course. But so yeah, I'm torn on that. I think probably the sustainability of me with the plastic is probably going Tyvek. It's slightly better for the environment. But so that's my take. But it was a very, very passionate topic.
Ian, we're going to come to you now. You can't sit on the fence and have your lawyer head on here. Me and James are giving you hours. Come on, Let's have yours.
I would happily go to the Worlds every 2 years and having the Euros in the other years, only on the condition that every region had its own championships. So once we get to a stage where you have the Euros, you have the American, you have South American, you have Asian, you have APAC. I think I've named all the continents there, and the Antarctic, because why not? The Penguins can be OCR champions too. When we reach that level, and when we have athletes who are to the extent of those who will go to the Olympics, I agree with James. I think it was great making that comparison, but we're not there yet. And the other thing that I think that Finn perhaps missed was all the athletes see each other at other events. So if there's not just for world champs, there are majors all over and they get paid to visit. So maybe as a pipe dream, yes, but in the immediate future, I absolutely agree with Libby. They need to make their money. It also seems a little bit unfair on athletes to say you can only see your American friends every 2 years. So, Team Libby for that. Medals, we already know that I have no idea where my medals are. So, from this point of view, but it's probably from a personal preference as opposed to Finn's argument. I think everyone should get a keepsake of the event. Absolutely keepsake. Be that a medal, be that a cup, be that a t-shirt. You should have a keepsake of the
Or even
event.
a jar of jam.
Or even a jar of jam. And after that, yeah, I'm not too sure. Perhaps the actual point Finn was trying to make, and I'm sorry for putting words in his mouth, was maybe it's more about making the elite runners feel specialer for getting top three than it is of taking something away from the other athletes. I think Finn was trying to do addition by subtraction. I think we should concentrate more on making the top three feel like they've actually won something, like in Savage, where you get a massive sword or something like that, or an axe. Or so, yeah, keep medals for the time being. Although personally, yeah, if they went away tomorrow, I wouldn't care, but I'd want to keepsake. Bands, I don't really have a preference. Yeah, it's nice to get a rubber one. It's nice to get a paper one. I honestly don't care. I can see why people do, but yeah, I'll sit on the fence for that, Alan. I don't care.
That's good though that we all have slightly different opinions. You know, we agree on some things, we agree on anything. Could be a good idea for this winter, Ian, that we have regular debates on these things as well as interviews. So, listeners, if you've got anything you want debating, hit us up and we'll get a few people on and we'll do a proper debate on hot topics that you want to listen to that affect everyone in OCR and athletics. I like that idea.
Can we just get Finn and Libs on and they can do the hard work?
That's the only thing I'm planning on doing.
They've been promoted. Yay!
Can I say one more thing on their podcast?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting insight. So firstly, they're amazing hosts. It's an incredible listen as an adult perspective. But my kids love their podcast. Sorry, Ian and Alan. They don't go, can we listen to Ian and Alan? They do know your voices on the UK OCR, but they're like, can you put Finn and Lib on? Like, so it's great that their peers, and role models for the youth athletes. So I'm really grateful to Lib and Finn for the work they're doing. And yeah, just thought it was a nice insight. I'm sure they've heard it from other kids and parents as well. But no, it's lovely.
It's the podcasts that gets the most comments that come into my inbox, that people message me and say, love this podcast, love that. Who's up? Yeah, people message me about that. They never message me about Swift Arthur, very rarely. But I don't know why that is. But yeah, the pint size, everyone, I get loads of messages, and some of them are like, absolutely fantastic, amazing. I don't think I've ever seen anything negative about it. And yeah, I love it, and I think everyone else does. So yeah, keep it up, guys. We're going to support you with everyone that you pull out to us.
I do have negative feedback.
Go on.
Finn's dad jokes. He is not old enough to be making dad jokes. Can we edit them out in the future?
He's barking mad, isn't he?
terrible. He really is terrible. I want you to throw him a bone, Alan, but I just can't. I just cannot. I can't cope with it. It's just gone too far. Yeah,
I think you're
it's
worried
terrible.
he's taking your thunder in, isn't it? That's what it is. You're not. He's like, no. There's only one person can do dad jokes on this podcast.
Exactly, Alan. I'm insisting you dock his pay. What's 20% reduction on £0?
It's enough for me to get another alcohol. No, it's not. I want to be another 1 milliliter of my alcohol beer today. While we've got you on, James, I was proud to be invited to speak on one of your first. What do we call it? What did you call it at the end?
So we called it Obstacle Sports Industry Forum meeting.
That's it.
Yeah. So it was. Go on. Sorry.
I was going to say, and I was proud to be asked to talk about the UK OCR League and things like that. Have you had any feedback from that? Has it been good?
So we've had a little bit. I think it's early days. So I guess just to take a slight step back, one of our key strategic priorities is to help events and facilities to thrive. Like clearly, why British Obstacle exists, where obstacle sports exist. We don't have events, don't have facilities doing well, then the sport's not going to be successful. So one of our actions was to hold a quarterly forum where we just bring facilities, events together to talk about what we're doing, talk about opportunities, and to share. So I know you talked about the UK OCR series, we talked about potential national championships. So so I think got some initial feedback, and I think it's probably a few things I wanted to mention from a meeting perspective is it's very much an open invitation to events and facilities. We're going to hold it quarterly, so look out for updates. And then we did put a discussion out there around potentially national championships next year, 3K, 100 meter potentially again, the classic distance and the ninja champs, and various potential opportunities. So if there wasn't anyone there listening in who have got potential interest in hosting an event, then certainly reach out to me or someone at British Obstacle Sports. Was keen to get that calendar filled out for next year. I think we've got very eager athletes, understandably looking to plan their year ahead next year. So we want to kind of confirm everything for the season.
And very much so. Both me and you are working behind the scenes to get the UK OCR series finalised as quick as we possibly can. And we've reached out to some events, and we're going to keep on reaching out until we fill all the quota and release them as they come in.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, no, it's a little bit of a jigsaw. I think there's two parts. One is just the time to corral, but also we need to know when everyone is going to do their events and how it all then comes together, because we don't want to say put a championship event on when there's likely to be another event and vice versa. So there's a little bit of calendar kind of planning that's involved. It's not as easy as it sounds, and ensuring also all the events are happy to be championships or to be in the series and what that means, because there's certain expectations and standards, isn't there, that to be an event that's sanctioned or in the series.
Exactly. Do you want to stop on with us for the rest of the show, or would you like to shoot off, James?
I actually, unfortunately, probably have to run. I've had a busy week, and I haven't seen my wife, so she might hate me if I don't. Well, or she might be happy not to see me anymore. But I'm gonna run, and thank you for your time, and I'll catch you all soon.
Thank you, James. And if someone wants to message you about the next forum, they can hit you up on your email address.
Yeah, so could just probably the easiest thing if you don't have a contact, just to reach out to British Obstacle Sports, and most of them come my way anyway. And equally about the 100 meter, if anyone wants to know more, we're going to need a lot of officials and volunteers to the event. If you're keen to get involved, if you're volunteering there, you get access to as a spectator at the event as well afterwards. So it's going to be a massive weekend. Maybe a bit of fun on Saturday night for anyone who's not competing on the Sunday in the finals as well. So looking forward to a bit of a Christmas party maybe kind of thing going down. So it could be interesting.
Oh, yeah, and Christmas parties.
That's a good point. I need to check when the solo Christmas party is. I wonder if it's that weekend. We might have a venue change.
Yeah, good plan.
James, thank you for coming and joining us. It's much appreciated. You're always welcome.
Thanks so much. Chat soon. Cheers, guys.
Good to have James on. I like him. Good guy, that bloke, isn't he? You know, he's up there for us and really wants to promote OCR just like us, Ian.
He just wants to push the sport forward. And I mentioned in jest whether or not I've got a conflict that day. I've just checked, Alan, and the solo parties On Saturday, the 23rd of November is in Manchester. On Saturday, the 30th of November is in London. So, you know what? I'll just throw this out to UK OCR community, even if you're not in the Solo Mudder group. If you want to come to either of their meetups, I don't think it's anything formal. I think it is basically we find a pub and then we carry on from there.
I love how the solo Mudders just like, we're having a Christmas party. Join the group. We're going on a pub crawl. That's it. I love it. That's the simplest Christmas party ever.
It may not be a pub crawl. You never know because it's coming up to Christmas. It may involve going to Christmas markets. It may, I don't know, go bowling or something like that. I have no clue. But yeah, if anyone's free and in Manchester on 23rd of November or London in the 30th of November, which is High Rocks, by the way, High Rocks London is that weekend. So people might be there anyway. Then just come and have a drink or I don't know, bratwurst because it's near Christmas and it's Christmas markets.
I like that. I got some play I'm going to in Manchester in. Well, I best find out when that is. You know what? Like last year, I went to a Christmas play. I've booked another Christmas play this year. We're over in Manchester for it. Not sure, but it's what date is. But I'll have to find that out.
Speaking of Christmas, it was almost like Christmas had come early for Fitness World this past weekend, wasn't it? Where we had three events going on at the same time. We had the JJK Games, where Team MyZone were taking part. Well, they're at all the events, but they had quite a few members at this particular event because they've always supported it. So well done to everyone there. We had Deca Fit, which I was at over at Forders. We did a live stream, as you know, Alan. I've got lots to talk about that, but I'm going to say listen to next week's fitness racing podcast and there'll be a full review.
That's a good shout, mate. I like that. No, because that's a good plug for you, guy. That's a good plug for fitness racing. Yes.
And the final race was Deadly Dozen. And again, I'm not really going to discuss that on here because Matt B. Davis was there. So I'm going to encourage everyone to go and listen to his podcast, the Hybrid Fitness Media, and find out what Matt felt about the weekend. Spoiler, he absolutely loved it from my interactions with him. But Alan, should we talk about Matt's trip to the UK as best as I know it?
Fire away.
So he flew in. We had this, didn't we? In that I was saying, I can't believe he's coming over for a long weekend. And then everyone in the pub was like, well, yeah, I've been on a long weekend, including James. Didn't James had I don't know, Jamaica or somewhere and for a long weekend and that. But apparently it's just me and you, Alan, who can't go for a long weekend. We have to make a whole week out of that.
Yeah. Our long weekends are like the coast. We drive to the coast, we stop overnight, we come back. That's our long weekends. But no, people go all over the world for long weekends.
They really do. But so he arrived here on the Friday. I believe he had a little bit of car trouble or something on the way up. Not car trouble as in there was something wrong with the car. I just think he faced a lot of traffic. So it took him a while. But again, listen to him. He will tell it far better than I ever will. Then on the Saturday, it was his event, Deadly Dozen. I was at Deca. I think Will was up a mountain somewhere up in Wales. And do you remember how nice the weather was on Saturday?
Oh, it was beautiful. It was stunningly beautiful.
It absolutely was. It was gorgeous weather. And me, Will, the intern, Jen, and Matt had agreed we'd meet up on Sunday. And I was thinking, oh, this is great. Because they also decided to come up my neck of the woods. I was thinking, this is great. This place is lovely near me when it's beautiful. And yeah.
It rained, well, it rained over here. I'm going to guess it rained where you were.
Yes. I saw a guy with a beard collecting animals in 2B2.
What did you get up to? Am I right in saying you got in some sweets for his son?
We did. Thank you to everyone in Podcast Pub for making recommendations. Unfortunately, had I took all of them, I probably would be broke now. But we took a fair few, including Freddos and jelly babies. I think we threw in there some chocolate limes, some squashes. So thank you everyone on the pub who contributed. Had I thought about it more, we could have set up a poll, but Yeah, I never got round to that, but I really appreciated those. So I believe the Davis children are now full of sugar. So well done, everyone. But he was coming up because he wanted to watch a Premier League game. Okay.
Oh, wow.
That's what he wanted to watch. Unfortunately, on the Sunday, there were two Premier League games. There was Arsenal versus Tottenham, which,
Yeah,
yeah,
London.
never going to get in.
Yeah,
And then there was Wolves versus Newcastle, which I thought, yeah, we got half a chance. Okay.
yeah.
And then I tried to buy tickets and found out you had to be like a member of the Wolves Century Club, and I don't know, be able to name three Wolves players to get tickets. So that was a non-starter. It was impossible to get. So we went for the next best thing.
You're going to say Bolton Wanderers, aren't you?
Oh God, no. We went for a lower league rugby league game.
Oh, see, that would have been much more exciting. What did you go and watch?
We went and watched Rochdale versus Hunslet.
Cool. And did he enjoy it? Did he enjoy a proper man's game?
He did, but before we got there, we took him at Will's suggestion for a Sunday lunch. And not only a Sunday lunch, Alan, Sunday lunch at the White House.
You're going to tell me the White House is a Toby Carvery?
It's not a Toby Carvery. It is actually a great restaurant. If you're ever on the way to Hebden Bridge through Littleborough, make sure you check out the White House. But what it is parts of it were made in the 1600s, which means they're older than his country.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, we had a Sunday lunch, but of course, he was a bit confused because we all know that a Sunday lunch is enough food to feed you for the rest of the week, isn't it? We splurge
Yeah.
on a Sunday, and then the rest of the week we're good. And because he only saw this bit, he wondered why we all weren't enormous, which
I
is
like
fair
that.
comment.
Yeah, that is fair
It's
comment.
absolutely fair comment. So he enjoyed lunch. He had, I think, a chicken roast dinner with Yorkshire pudding. It might have been first time he'd had a Yorkshire pudding. He definitely sent it to Stacey, and he then had a rhubarb and apple crumble.
So, hang on a minute, he actually has saved room for an apple crumble.
He did. We tried to convince him to get sticky toffee pudding, but the waitress confused him by asking him, did he want ice cream, custard, or whipped cream with it?
Yeah, that's going to confuse people.
It was. So he changed his order, and guess what the waitress said?
You want ice cream, custard, or whipped cream with it? I know.
Exactly. So he
Oh,
admitted defeat and just said, could he have a little bit of cream on the corner?
oh, love
But
it. Love it.
the game itself was great. The weather was shocking, but thankfully, Rochdale's ground, it's old fashioned, but it's an old fashioned football ground, which you're not getting wet in there. You may get electrocuted if the lightning hits, but you're not going to get wet in there. So he really enjoyed it. He got proper into the game. As Rochdale was scoring, he was leaping up every time Rochdale scored. And I'm not sure if anyone saw this on his stories. At the end, they had a scrap.
Oh, did they?
They did. There was pushing and shoving. And do you want to know the most embarrassing thing about it?
Go on.
It was the equivalent of having a scrap in the 95th minute of injury time when you're down 3-0. It had no impact whatsoever on the game. And in fact, the next tackle would have ended the game because the hooter had gone. But that's rugby sometimes. We do silly things.
Yeah, yeah. But did he learn any of the rules?
He actually really picked up on it very quickly, a lot quicker than I ever have. And yeah, he seemed to really get into the six tackles and that. I think the time when the referee waved for six more confused him, but to be honest, that confuses everyone. I'm fairly convinced the referee just has a beeper that every so often will go off and says, "Yeah, just let this team have another six."
I like that. I like that. Oh, we've been on for quite a while, Ian. Shall we wrap it up with the last few stories?
Yeah, wrap it up with the last few stories. Where are we going to?
We're gonna actually wrap it up with this just the next story, and I'll save the other till next week. Jack's fundraiser. So last week we broke the news 2 weeks ago now. I explained how it affected me last week. Got a few messages this week. So, first of all, the people who sent me well wishes, thank you very much. And the people who reached out to me, talked to me as well. Thank you very much as well. It is worth it when you do it because it does help me. It knows people feel similar to me. So thank you very much for those. But Jack Carpenter's fundraiser started this month. I know, so this week we jumped straight on it straight away. Our group, we jumped on it. We made some donations. It's amazing that it's already over £4,000 in less than a week. But people, we have got to keep this going. This guy is one of us. He's an ex-podcast host. I want to say he might even become another future podcast host if he decides to come back into it, which would be great. But not only that, but he's just an absolutely top quality guy. And the people who have messaged me and talked about him, and and I've heard some amazing stories and that I never knew about him. Yeah, we've got to keep it going. So if you've got some money, instead of getting a cup of coffee this week, donate to Jack.
Absolutely, Alan. I could not agree more. And you said the podcast host, he has started another podcast based on his experience. If you go over to JC Crushing Cancer, as well as the GoFundMe, the new podcast is there as well. It's just amazing. Like you say, he got some bad news last week, some terrible news. I honestly can't believe how positive he is, if that makes sense. I know he's always been a positive person, but this would crush me. And it's kind of crushing me. It's not even happening to me.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing how everyone's coming together and making donations for him and his young family and his wife and that. So yeah, guys, keep on doing it. You know, it makes me proud when I see things like this to turn around and say, the OCR community is there. And even people who don't know Jack have messaged me and, asked, can we help? Can we? And I'm sending them to the fundraiser. So yeah, check our socials. We will keep on sharing it.
No, absolutely. And I'd also like to point out, because this was the part which really brought a tear to my eye, Alan, is we know money's tight. So if you're not able to donate, there are lots of other things you can do. My favorite one is taking the dog Bo out for a long walk. I think Bo is going to be the most walked dog in the UK because of all these offers of helping to Jack and the family, and fundraise him and taking him to treatment, help with the maintenance at Feel Fit. These are all things that people who perhaps can't donate money, just a little bit of time, and it would go so far. Would you agree, Alan?
Without a doubt. And watch this space because there's more going to be happening. I've got people talking to me and telling me things. So more's going to happen. Not going to share them until I know 100% that these are going to happen and people allow me to share them, but we will share them as they happen.
Right, Alan. And I think that's a lovely place to leave it. We've got a few more topics which we'll hopefully cover next week, or we might never cover them, which is the way the show goes sometimes, including, Alan, we got a new review. Well, I say new, I've just noticed it's there, but we got a review, so let's read that out next week. And if anyone puts a review on between now and then, you'll also get it read out. So there you go. That's an incentive to write a review between now and next week. But with all that being said, Alan, it's a goodbye from me.
And listeners, once again, for taking time out of your day to listen to us, you stay safe, you keep on running, and we'll speak to you all soon. Bye.